My name is Virginia Paine. I am a cartoonist and a micropress publisher. I draw a comic called The Wise, which is online, and I've been running Sparkplug Books, which is a micropress that specializes in underappreciated and upcoming artists. I've been running the company since 2013. It's been a very fulfilling couple of years, but also pretty difficult with trying to keep the press afloat and also trying to pay my own bills and promote myself as an artist. And I have been feeling for a while like I haven't been able to dedicate the time and effort to the artists that I publish that they deserve. So this year I talked to Mark Arsenault of Alternative Comics and Wow Cool and asked if he would take on the backstock of Sparkplug. So he agreed to do that. He's a great guy. He's really good at promoting and taking care of older alternative comics titles. So he'll be taking over distributing the books in June of this year. After Cake. Cake will be the last show I do as Sparkplug. Chicago Alternative Comics Expo. It's in mid-June. Yeah, it's one of my favorite conventions anyway. I usually go... My family lives in Wisconsin, so I go and see them for a week and then go down to Chicago. And Cake is just a really great festival. The organizers are really nice, and I've been going since their first year, so it feels like a good show to end Sparkplug on. I'm really proud of the first book Emily and I put out as Sparkplug, which was one of Dylan's books, Nurse Nurse. It was the first book I completely laid out and sent to the printers and did everything myself. And Katie Skelly is a really great artist, and she's been blowing up, and it's been really gratifying to see her career taking off. And I'm just really proud that we put that book together during what was a really trying time. And we got it out on time, and it's beautiful. And yeah, so I'm really proud of that one. I'm also really proud of Vortex by William Cardini, because I had been talking to William for a year and a half before we got it published. And I really, really wanted to do that book. I just wasn't sure how I was going to be able to fund a full-length square-bound book. But Mark and I decided we were going to do it. I put together a Kickstarter campaign, and Mark was super helpful with that. And also my intern at the time, Opal, and my friend Craig did all the video filming for me. And it was just this really great collaborative project. We also put out Reich and Bird Girl and Fox Girl with that Kickstarter. But Vortex is just... It felt like my baby. And Mark's baby. Or William's baby. Whoops. William Cardini is a pseudonym. But yeah, so I'm really proud of that one too. We put a lot of work into the Kickstarter, and it was really gratifying to have it funded, to see that so many people cared about putting this book into the world. So those are probably the two I'm most proud of. I really enjoy a lot of other people's work, and I don't mind occasionally promoting their stuff, but promoting in social media is something that just takes a lot of my energy, and if I'm gonna have to do that stuff, I'd prefer to just do it for my own stuff. If I'm going to have to like work as hard as I know I should be. I try to do as much support of other people's stuff as I can, but it's just first with Sparkplug, it's been the hardest thing for me to do and the hardest thing for me to kind of like figure out how it works and what works. So if I'm going to be like messing that up, I'd rather be messing it up for myself and not for these other people that I care a lot about. So no, I don't really see myself doing it again. It's a lot of work. And a lot of it is really gratifying, but it's just, yeah, I need to put that energy into my day job now. So, I mean, it's kind of glamorous. I'm the assistant manager at an art gallery / toy store. That's pretty cool. It's like a small, locally owned business. I recently started doing wholesale buying, so I'm pretty excited about that. Yeah, it's cool. It's related to the stuff I like, so that's good too. I am just working on the next page of the Whys today. So I've got my really terrible thumbnails, and I've got my page laid out here. Yeah, so I'm just working on the pencils right now. I had a run this last summer where I was like a month ahead of schedule with the pages, and now I'm like just barely on schedule. So hopefully at some point I'll get back to being ahead of schedule. But yeah, so I'm working on the page for next week. I've got about half this chapter written. So yeah, it's a slow process. I'm hoping that maybe once I don't have to do Sparkplug anymore, I'll be able to do more than one page a week, which would be cool. The Whys is about a group of queer teenagers with superpowers who get recruited by this sketchy government spy agency. My elevator pitch for the comic is that it's X-Men, but the gay subtext is just text. So it's the main character is Lisa Reyes, and she has a teenager from Portland, and she has the ability to create fire, and she has an accident and burns herself pretty badly, and ends up in the hospital for a long time, and while she's in rehab recovering, these people from ERA show up, ERA, and not the Equal Rights Amendment. I can't remember what it stands for. Actually, I don't think I figured out what it stands for yet. It was my friend Alex's idea. So they come and they're like, oh, come to this school in Napa Valley, and you can learn how to use your powers, and we'll cover all your hospital bills because we know your parents can't afford it. And so she agrees, but maybe she doesn't really have a choice, which is part of the creepy factor. So she goes there and she meets all these colorful characters who are friends, and gets paired up with this guy from Canada who's kind of a loose cannon, and they go do spy stuff together, and that's about how far we've gotten in the story. She has a love interest who is maybe not on the level, so there's some intrigue going on, and I don't want to give anything away, but it's going to get really complicated because I like stuff that's really complicated. So, and I also I like stuff where they drop little like breadcrumbs, even when it seems like it's not important. Been doing that too. It's one of my favorite writing things. No, because they're teenagers. It was just because I wanted them to be near San Francisco, but not in San Francisco. And it's kind of rural. It's supposed to be secret. What better place to hide a bunch of teenagers with superpowers than a place where everyone is kind of drunk all the time? I guess they have an East Coast school in Syracuse too, so. Or when people ask me like about my writing influences, I always bring up Babylon 5, which is a 90s sci-fi TV show that not a lot of people have seen, but is very excellent if you're willing to put up with a bunch of crap. But they were really awesome at building things up slowly and hinting at things or mentioning things that seemed like inconsequential at the time that became really important later. I mean, some of the episodes are really terrible. Like the one with the guy who thought he was King Arthur. I hated that one. I mean, for the time, the effects were really cool. Like the spaceships and stuff. I don't know, there's still like a lot of really neat ideas in that show, I think, like that I haven't really seen replicated in other TV shows, like the organic spaceships and like I don't know, everyone's like shifting alliances and all that stuff. I do prose. I actually, when Oni had open submissions last year, I submitted a like time travel story that I have pretty much plotted out, but I also feel like I think it's a really good idea. I just don't feel like I have the drawing skills for it. So when I submitted my pitch, I was like, I can draw this, and like I had to submit 8 pages of my own work. But I was also like, I would be happy to work with another artist on this. It did not get accepted, but yeah, I feel like for something like that, where I feel like I don't have the skills to draw, I would like to work with another artist. But I also do like prose writing and have been kind of half-assedly looking for an agent for the last year or so too. I've written some YA fantasy. I started working on another story in that same vein this year, but I haven't really had time to work on it yet, so maybe in the future. I started playing Pathfinder this year.
Okay.
That's pretty cool. It's like D&D,
okay.
But
so with friends or?
Yeah, with friends. So that's been kind of an interesting, like, building a character is kind of a cool. I mean, I think it's like a good writing tool, like thinking about having to like once a week sit down and think about how this other person would interact with the world and deal with like having to fight off crocodiles and stuff.
Cutting loose.